Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you all for joining us today. My name is Scott Davis, and I'm the Programs Chair for the American Gem Society's Young Title Holders, which is hosting today's webinar. The mission of the Young Title Holders is to encourage the growth and development of new driven professionals while building connections and a voice among the next generation of AGS leaders. If you are interested in learning more about the Young Title Holders or to get involved, please visit ags.org/AGSYT. Today, we are hosting Elle Hill of Hill & Co, and she presents online actions we can take to drive consumer traffic to our physical storefronts, a skill I think we could all use during these unprecedented times. Please welcome Elle Hill.
Hi, thank you so much, Scott, for that introduction, and thank you for having me. My name is Elle Hill, and I founded Hill & Company in 2012. Just to let you know a little bit about my background, I've been in fine jewelry for 25 years, starting out in mass market manufacturing in New York City, finding myself all the way in China, managing a large jewelry manufacturer there, and then launching my own online only, originally, which became a 2-boutique and omni-channel retailer in 2011, which I brought public in a public offering on the Australian Stock Exchange in 2015. Since then, I've been focusing only on helping other businesses, both some of the largest players in our industry and small to medium enterprises, even pre-revenue startups, on how they can launch and grow their jewelry businesses while harnessing the power of tech. So I'm really excited to be here today to talk to you guys about what you can do online in order to drive traffic to your physical store. And we'll also pepper in here some information about what you can do even if your physical store isn't open yet. So let's take a look at this. I think I'm going to share my screen with you guys so that you can see. Let's see, here we go. I think you guys should have that then there. Okay, and if you have any questions as we go along, please feel free to pepper them in the Q&A box, because I'm going to make a concerted effort to leave time at the end where I can talk to you guys and answer any questions that you have. But I understand the Q&A box is the place to go ahead and type them in as we go along. If I see them come up while I'm chatting, I'll pause and answer the question for sure. So please don't hesitate. Go ahead and put a little information in there. So I think one of the statistics that impassions me about how important the digital world is for your offline business is that 96% of shoppers search online for local businesses. And now, even more than ever, people want to support local businesses. And it's a moment to take advantage of that and to serve that up. But people need to know that we're there, and they need to know how to find us. Now I'm going to back the truck up, and I'm going to talk about what the consumer's journey is and how we need to show up for the consumer journey on the stops along the consumer journey in the digital world to drive people off. Okay, so many of you may have seen this, or maybe you've seen something that's called the funnel, which talks about how you kind of broadcast and advertise and tell people that you're there, and you get them closer and closer and closer to the bottom of the funnel as they've made a purchase. Well, I think that's a little bit out of date. And this I like a lot more, which talks about the journey of the consumer, because really the purchase, which I've put in the middle here, buy, it is not the end of the game. What we're doing, if we're doing right, is not making a sale, we're making a customer, right? And what they are becoming for us is brand evangelists. And this, with the power of digital, we have an ability to amplify their brand evangelism more than ever before. So every single person who we sell a product to, or even don't sell a product to yet, can become a champion for our store. So first they need to have the idea that, I want to buy a piece of jewelry and I want to support a local business. I'm following around on the slide you're looking at right now. And then they're going to go and they're going to collect info. And 96% of them are going to go on to Google and search local jewelry store X. So we will talk through the specific ways that you want to make sure that you show up there. Then they're going to gather information about you. And the first place they're going to look at is on your website. They're going to look at your Instagram, your Facebook, perhaps. Depending on who your consumer is, you'll begin to learn the channels where they want to gather information about you, and you'll make sure that you can show up there. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as I progress through the slides. Then they'll make the purchase, which, as I said before, is not the end of the game. It is the beginning of the game. It's the beginning of becoming the jeweler for life for that individual. And so on this process, idea, info, and buy, already before they've ever made the purchase, we should begin to collect information and permission from these potential consumers and potential brand evangelists so that we can continue to communicate with them. Because what they're trying to do is to get to know us, decide if they like us, and ultimately trust us enough to give thousands of dollars or hundreds of dollars of their money to us for the jewelry, right? So we need to be collecting information, and I'll talk about how in the subsequent slides. If they are purchasing that jewelry, they're going to receive it. Sometimes in the store, sometimes they might want it to be delivered. They might want a surprise. They might want to buy it online and never come in the store. So we're going to address both of those, and the fact that the value and the personality and the level of customer service that you give must be present along each one of these touch points that we're speaking about right now. And the final, which is the beginning again of this circle, is recommend. We want those people to sing your praises from the rooftops. We want to make it easy for them to do that. And we want them to become the people who influence their circles. So it becomes like the old Brex commercial, and they told two friends and they told two friends, and you have an exponential number of people that are supporting your sales team inside the store. So this is the journey that the customers are going on. And as they go on this journey, we have the ability to speak to them in three separate buckets, if you will. I don't know if bucket's not a sexy term, but there's three arenas where we get to speak to the consumer. And those are spaces that we own, spaces that we have paid to communicate them through, and places where we have earned the right to communicate to them, or we have earned the praise of others who are communicating on our behalf. So these three buckets are something that mentally all of our clients, and myself too, when running my own store, go through the checklist of what do I have in each one of these buckets where I can communicate through the digital communications right now while people are at home, 96% of them searching, in order to tell them, I'm here, I'm open for business and you can come. Or I'm here, we're scheduling one-on-one consultations, which have a much higher conversion rate, and you can come in and have the space and the safety to do your shopping. So these are the three buckets we're talking about. You may or may not have heard of them before. So I'm going to go through the various spots of interaction with the client in paid, owned, and earned, and what we need to do there, the tools that we need to use in order to drive traffic to our website, to information about us, and to our store ultimately. So this is the owned bucket, if you will. And you'll see a bunch of blue circles on the left-hand side, which indicate our online owned spaces. And then you'll see earth brown colored circles on the right-hand side, which indicate our owned offline areas that we can interact with our clients, right? So, and with the goal being that they can get to know us, like us, and trust us enough to come on into the store and perhaps purchase a piece of jewelry and then tell everybody about what a wonderful experience it was, okay? So those 96% of shoppers that Google local jewelry store, we want to make sure, I'm talking about the very first circle on the left-hand side, the World Wide Web. This is your website. You own this space and you have the ability to communicate with it. We can do a whole other seminar on how to make sure your website is set up well so that not only just the half of it that faces the client, but the half of it that does the heavy lifting of consuming information and collecting data about those visitors. That's a whole other website that we definitely can do, Scott. I hope you're listening. But today, let's talk about what can you do with your website in order to drive traffic into your store. First and foremost, you have to make sure that that website, that your business is easy to find, okay? Number one, on your website, you want to make sure that you use a Google Maps plugin somewhere so they can easily see a map on the website, how to find you downtown on Main Street, wherever you are. Take a third left after the barn, third right after the skyscraper. Make sure that it's very easy for them to find you. You should also make sure that you are using Google My Business. This is a powerful tool that can not only let people know where you are, let people know where you are when they're Googling walking down the street that you're close by, but it's also a place where people can report reviews about your business and talk about how wonderful your business is. You can have images of your store. So your Google My Business is one of the tools that if you're not using, you should definitely be using. You also need to make sure that your website does not look like everybody else's jewelry website. The key to the world today is that people do business with people. So they want to see behind the curtain a little, and they want to understand what is different about your store than all the other stores or all the other online service providers that I can get. So you want to reveal, this is part of the know, like, and then trust. They need to know who you are in order to begin liking you or deciding if they do, and then trusting you enough to purchase from you. So be revelatory. Don't try to be a cookie cutter website that doesn't show anything of the personality of the owners. Instead, reveal, what your passions are. Maybe the entire store is sailboat themed because you are passionate about sailing. What people miss often is that the consumer doesn't want to just see jewelry, 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 jewelry. They want to see, what is the experience going to be like? Who are the people who run this store? What are their morals, and do they align with my own? People are voting with their wallets. So you want to make sure that on your website, you're revealing something about yourself. Simple videos are a great way to do this. Making sure you're not only talking about the jewelry, but talking about the team that's running the store. Elevating and celebrating the owners is definitely a must, I think, today. The minute your store is not instantly recognizable on the homepage, and not just because the logo and the name of the store is different, you've got an opportunity to show more of the personality of the store and the type of jewelry that it is going to provide to its customer, okay? I'm going to pop down now to your shopping cart there. Your shopping cart should always online, if you have an e-commerce enabled website, you should offer the option to pick up in store. That way you can make sure that the ring is fitting perfectly. You can make any final adjustments. You can entice them. Some people I have seen have enticed people to pick up in store with a free gift. It might be a beautiful pouch. It might be, tea at the coffee shop next door. I'm not sure. But always offer the option that they can come into the store and pick up if they want. Why? Because that's going to give us further interaction with your fantastic salespeople. It's going to give us more opportunity to develop a relationship. And going right back to the beginning, people do business with people. So we want in that shopping cart, give those options. And both in the store and out of the store, I'd be remiss if I didn't say it, we don't mind if they want to purchase online if we have that capability enabled. But why don't we also make sure that we give them the opportunity to use Afterpay or Klarna or Later Pay or Split It, which will allow them to pay like layaway terms over time without impacting your business at all. And that can sometimes encourage the consumer, look, this business is really helping me in order to make this special occasion really special and do it in a way that's feasible for me right now. So I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that. One more thing about the website before we go to social is make sure that you have lots of places on your website where they can interact with you. Okay. Sometimes it's an opportunity to sign up for your newsletter. And if you're not doing a newsletter, we're going to talk about that a couple slides later, because that's a place where you get upwards of 20% of people opening your email versus social, where you get less than 1% engagement. So we're going to talk about how you should really use a newsletter. So you may want to have an inline newsletter. Drop your email here so that we can tell you about upcoming events in our store and new promotions or new designers that we're releasing, depending on what level your store, what type of product and promotions you'll be doing. Exit intent overlays. I personally love this one. Everyone has a different opinion. Statistically, this is has good efficacy. As people are about to leave, the exit intent pop-up overlay can come up and say, hi, thank you so much for stopping by. If you'd like, you can leave your email address here and we'll let you know when we have new products back in shop. This is mirrors the way that you behave in the store. And you'll see as a through line, as I go through this list of tools that you can use online to drive traffic to your store, that what I'm constantly saying is look at what you do in your brick and mortar store that really works. And then look online and see what you can do that has an equal and equally powerful results. There's almost always something you can do online that's going to be equal to that. Hey, thank you for coming into the store. Have a good day. Somebody always says goodbye. An exit intent pop-up overlay on your website is like saying goodbye. And hey, if you want to leave your email address, we can tell you when we've got new designers in, or when our next event is happening, or when our next sale is happening. So you want buttons on the website. You may want forms to fill out. Oh, we've noticed you've been shopping for a while. Would you like to tell us about the occasion you're looking for? Or if you'd like more information, learn more buttons are good ways for people to show that they want one-on-one attention. And it may be a perfect opportunity for you to set up a consultation. Pick 5 items or however many items you wish from the assortment online and fill out this form to tell us what day and time you want to come in to have a meeting with Sarah. This has a very high conversion rate compared to just passersby walking through or browsing. And if you enable that, you're setting up the expectation that they're going to get excellent service. And it's almost like going to visit puppies in a puppy shop. It's hard to come home without one when it's all been set up for you. All the 5 pieces you have are there, and you're able to come in and begin your journey in the store with that kind of special attention. On your website, you also want to make sure that you highlight the services, the in-store services that you provide, because those are the things they cannot get online. They can't get a new watch battery and have it replaced. They can't have the prongs checked out and see if their center stone is loose. They can't have a re-rhodium. Any services that you provide in your store, you want to make sure that they are front and center and really given good pride of place and are highlighted. They can also be value adds for, if you pick up in store, we'll also do a polish and cleaning of your existing jewelry in order to get your consumer to come into the store. So make sure that you're highlighting those services that cannot happen online on your website, so they know that that's the place where I need to go when that happens, or that you are capable of doing that. Now I'm going to move to social. I'm going to go a little bit quicker because I know they've asked me to leave Q&A time at the end. So social media. Social media supports not only your website, but also your store. So you want to make sure that if you are not on social media already, make sure that your staff in store is communicating and asking, hey, do you go on Facebook? Hey, do you go on Instagram? Many stores have clients who are absolutely addicted to Instagram, but never go on Facebook, and vice versa. So you can't write off any social media because it's not your style, for example. At all times, we have to consider what are the consumer's needs today? And how are we going to solve them? How are we going to help them right now, especially because their needs might be different. So when it comes to social, if you're not on any social media, pick one. Don't open up Twitter, open up Facebook, open up Instagram, and start trying to market on there. Because if you're not measuring, you're not marketing. And if you're posting, but you're not present to answer comments and likes and to engage with other people on the platform, it's like throwing a cocktail party and not showing up and not talking to your guests or standing quietly in this corner staring at them. So pick one, get it right. Make sure that you start learning the cadence. You have to go down a rabbit hole for sure and start learning and studying. What is the cadence? Do I need once a day on LinkedIn? On Instagram? Do I need twice a day on Facebook? What time of day am I getting better feedback? You know, your Facebook analytics are there, and Instagram will be able to feed back to you what you need to do. So you have to dedicate yourself to that Facebook or that Instagram. Twitter is a very challenging one. There's almost no one that I say, get on Twitter right away, because you really have to be firing out tons of texts all day long and engaging with that community. For the beautiful visuals that you'll have of your jewelry, Facebook and Instagram are just made for you. YouTube is not to be overlooked, particularly if you're doing any kind of video content, and people love raw, natural video. It doesn't have to be something where you spend thousands of dollars to get in a videographer and a production crew. Images, or videos from your store, just short snippets saying, hey, we're happy to welcome you in, or you can use our curbside pickup, really resonate with people because people want to see human faces and they love video. So YouTube is not only a repository for your video, it's the second largest search engine in the world. So you're getting a lot of benefit to your website, provided you link them correctly by posting your videos on YouTube. So I'll throw that out there for you as well. Okay, so on the right-hand side here is your earthbound, your sales team. They are everything. And if they can be active as well on the social channels, they can share what you post, they can comment on what you post, and they can engage and get that exponential reach by participating. It's a very, very smart thing to do. Your returns policy, I'm looking down at the arrow going backward. What you do and what you offer to your customers might just be exceptional. Make sure that it's visible online so they know what they're going to experience in store. And make sure more than anything that there's no penalty for shopping in the store versus shopping online. Make it as seamless and integrated as possible. Okay, I'm going to switch forward to the next. I know we're at 25 minutes through, so I'm going to move to the next slide, which is paid. Okay, so there's lots of places that we pay in order to attract and drive traffic to our brick and mortar store or to our website. I always say to people, and which is why I've spent the majority of the time on owned, there is so much for us to do in owned. There are so many levers to pull in order to help drive traffic, make sure people know we're there in owned spaces, that is the first place you should always invest. And in particular, the back end of your website, so that once you say, you know what, I have a good following, I know that, if I did some paid advertising, I might have the ability to reach more people. I might be able to target and segment my audiences accurately according to who I know responds and purchases from me in my boutique and online from the data analytics I'm looking at. So I'm going to put some money behind that. Before you put that money, make sure that you do have your Google Analytics set up properly, and make sure that you're going to gain the information about who actually saw the ad and came to your website and went to your store. So you do need to make sure that you set up the back end, integrate it so that it's talking to one another. Occasionally, people say, okay, I'm going to start posting on social media, and now I'm marketing. But you're not marketing, because you're not measuring and you're not understanding, okay, because of that post, this person went to the website, they saw something about the ear piercing event that we're having, and now they're here. And you've been able to track that because you had your digital pixels in place. And you had the right form to fill out. Where did you hear about us? In the store. You had your customer service representative saying, hey, where'd you hear about this event? So you want to make sure that you're measuring the efficacy of any dollar you spend. So make sure before you put that money into an advertisement of any sort online, that you're able to track what that ad brings back to your site and into your store. Okay. With that said, the super tool, or one of the fabulous tool, is Google Ads. You can do geographically targeted ads on Google. That can go right down to the zip code, and make sure that you're targeting people that are going to be able to get to your store, and you're not busy, targeting people in New York City when you're in Albuquerque, or vice versa. So spending small amounts at the start to make sure that you start to learn what's working and who is responding, and what the demographic audiences are that respond to you, is super important. But geographically targeted ads are a fabulous way to target where your store is, what's happening at your store. Making sure that you have services, events, offerings that are happening in the store that you can talk about is super important. Long before this pandemic blew up, experiential marketing was a term that people were talking about, and people were saying, the death of brick and mortar retail. Well, it's just not true. But what is true is that to get out of your chair and get into a store, you expect a lot more. And if you don't meet it there, then you're not likely to make that journey again. So we do need to make sure that the experience in store is going to deliver once we drive this traffic there. And chicken before the egg, we need to make sure we have these interesting events that we can talk about online, so that we can say, hey, we're doing a fabulous night with the wine shop down the street, the local wine stop, and we're going to have a wine tasting and jewelry try on, 3 weeks from Tuesday. And you've got 3 weeks to do messaging on your Facebook or on your Instagram, on your pop-ups, in your newsletter, which we're about to talk about. So you want to make sure that what's happening in the store is not a quiet situation. People want to play in the sandbox with the little boy who's making a huge castle, not the one who's just sitting saying, okay, maybe a customer will come. So that calendar of events, whether it's ear piercings or wine tastings, or maybe there's a local cheese shop, the sky is the limit in terms of the marketing ideas of what you want to do that is experiential, that cannot happen offline. And that's what you want to promote in your Google ads, what you want to promote in your newsletters, and what you want to promote in your social media posts. And that will help drive people into the store. And they will expect to be delighted when they get there, right? So we spoke about ads, the newsletter. Okay. I often say that everyone thinks that social media is like so sexy. You're on Instagram, and it is a lot of hard work to create a 30-day content calendar, populate it, have it be on message, on brand, cohesive visually. It's a lot of hard work, and there's a great payoff to it. It's a real excellent way to let people know you, because it's one of the first thing people will do when they say, oh, I've Googled my business. I see that there's this shop. Oh, let me see what kind of jewelry they have. Many of them will just go to Instagram or Facebook. So there's no time wasted at all. But less than 1% of them, something like 0.6%, are going to engage on that platform with you. For newsletters, over 20%, I think 22% plus, are going to open that newsletter. So building a newsletter list, if you don't have one already. I was actually on the phone with a store on the East Coast yesterday who said our store staff does not do clienteling, which is a way for saying, they don't keep information about their clients. Clients today expect you to know who they are. They don't see it as an invasion of privacy. They see it as excellent customer service. So you need to ask the questions, and you need permission to speak to them and get to know them better. So, if you're based outside of America, there's very heavy GDPR rules to make sure that you're compliant with privacy laws and that you have permission. There's similar opt-ins that are being adhered to domestically as well. So make sure that you are adhering to all of the rules there. We can't just, put our iPhone contact list up and start, sending out newsletters from our store. But we can very efficiently send out a newsletter and say, we're starting a newsletter and we would love for you to opt in. And our newsletter launch event is happening. Why not? Any event, anything where you can then add value is going to be something to talk about. So get a newsletter list of emails together. I can do a whole webinar of 60 plus ways that you can acquire newsletters and certain email addresses to use for your newsletters or your EDMs, your electronic direct marketing. In your social media, you can have in your link tree a link to your newsletter sign up. Anywhere you can get permission to continue communicating with a potential client or someone that shows you the warm, I want to get to know you signal of, I'll give you my email address, take it. And you can do this all over online, and you had better be doing it in the store. Certainly no customer walks out of the store without being asked, hey, may I take down your email address so that we can send you some information, or do you prefer to be texted? Some people prefer to be texted. So you want to offer that option too. And I know many of you are on Podium. There's lots of services that you can use in order to safely text from your customer service representatives to your clients without revealing any personal mobile phone numbers. So the newsletter. I'm a big evangelist of the newsletter because of its high open rate, because of the high engagement. Even if they don't open it, they see your name there in their inbox, and they see the subject line, which is very important. But what's fabulous about it is you can really highlight, storytell, create great images, content that reveals the store, the staff, the jewelry, everything about you. Because really what we want is we want to reveal who we are so that they can begin to know us, decide if they like us, and then trust us. And you can drive them into the store by announcing events that you're having in the store, talking about services, sharing testimonials, which are super important. And if we wheel back to how do you drive people into your store from your website, I neglected to say that you want to share your reviews on your website. So you want to either have a testimonial page, or you want to have a testimonial line across the back. People read reviews. 91% of online shoppers read reviews first. So they want to know what other people think of you. And it's super important. So make sure that your business is present on Yelp, Trustpilot. Figure out where you're getting the most response, lean into that one, and have those testimonials be one in every 4 newsletters is a montage of testimonials. Social media, maybe 1 in every 5 posts is a testimonial. And if you can get photographs, fantastic, that's even better, of the clients or of the jewelry that they were talking about. So that's a very big lever to pull, to share and amplify those kind things that people have said about you, to create the trust that I'm going to actually get in my car and drive over to this store. So there are plenty of service providers, from MailChimp to Drip, Constant Contact, Klaviyo, that you can use in order to integrate your email newsletter. And then that content could be double purposed on a blog on your website. And blogs are good for your website. Why? Because it's new content every time you add a new blog, and Google likes new, fresh content, so they treat you more nicely in search engine optimization. So you're going to be looked upon more favorably for adding new content on a weekly basis, bi-weekly basis. Again, if any of these are things you have never done before, or you're just starting, start slowly. There is a lot to learn with each aspect, sort of each sentence that I've said. There is a mini world to learn. I do not underestimate that it is not just magicked up. You can't just say, you know what, today, this week, I saw the webinar from El Hill. I'm going to start a newsletter, start my Instagram, start my. You will not be able to do it, no matter how big your staff is, unless you throw money at it and have it done for you. But as with anything, learning how to do it yourself first, so that the authentic tone of your business is going to shine through when you then delegate it or hire outside service providers to execute for you, cannot be undervalued. So anything you haven't done before, when you're about to start it, go down the rabbit hole. Read all the books, have conversations with people like me, have conversations with potential service providers, learn everything you can, and then try to do it yourself. A lot of it can be done yourself. It's extremely time consuming, and you have to learn the tricks of the trade, but it will pay off in spades, even when you then hand it off to someone else, because then you'll know exactly what your likes are, your dislikes are, what you know to be working, what you don't. So that is the paid section. I think I'm actually coming in almost on time. Now I'm not talking a lot, because this is opportunities and actions that you can take online to drive traffic to your store. So I'm not talking a lot about the right-hand side here, our circles in brown, because these are things that you can do in your store. And we've talked a little bit about making sure that you have great events, making sure that your curbside is really welcoming. Do you have a bike rack? Do you have, dog bowls for the dogs and someplace to tie the leads up to? Do you make it very inviting that it's okay to just stop in, even if somebody walked by and didn't find you on Google My Business? But I'm sure there's a whole other webinar on making sure that you're doing everything in store. What we want to really focus on is what we're doing outside, online, in the digital space, in order to drive traffic to your store. And that is the paid section. So we'll move forward now to earned. Okay, this is super important, and this I touched upon a little bit. Not only should you have your testimonials that can be given verbally, it could be something that someone says to your customer service rep in the store, and your rep can say, hey, do you mind if I quote you on that? I would love to put that in our testimonial book. And then you have permission to use this. Make sure your client understands how you're planning on using it, that you do have permission. But these earned accolades are priceless, because 91% of the people are going to look here before they give you a penny. So you want to make sure that you are signing up for all the opportunities to be listed on sites that where you can collect a repository of positive reviews, and you can also feed from there to populate reviews on your website. So maybe it's Trustpilot, maybe it's Yelp. You know, there are myriad for you to choose from, but you want to monitor them, because any digital footprint that you occupy, you have to show up to the party. So you do not want to just say, okay, we're going to sign up and we'll let reviews be put. You want to take ownership of your business on any one of the review websites, and make sure that you respond, if the capacity is there, to any comments that people make about your website, whether they're good or bad. People like to be acknowledged, and we always want to behave online as closely as we behave in real life, face-to-face with a human being as possible. This is my baseline operating procedure for digital marketing. Behave online the way you would behave to someone's face. So if they said, hey, I had a crappy time, my ring was late, you know, everything was horrible, you've got to show up and say, I am so sorry to hear that, and I'm responsible for making sure that things like that will never happen again. I'd love to speak to you directly so that we can resolve the issue and also make things better. So you have to make sure that for all of those sites, you're monitoring them, that it's not oh yeah, let's just peek at it, that you have a standard operating procedure that tells you on which day you look at which one, and what time of day you make sure you reply to any new reviews, that you're alerted and have your notifications on. You also want to make sure that you're encouraging people on your website to review. So after someone purchases from your company and you have the permission to speak to them, you can send them a post-purchase email that says, we're so happy that you bought your ring from Elle's Jewelry. We'd love to hear what parts of the service you love the most. And it can be a digital multiple choice click that you can use to learn how you're doing in the store and how you can do even better. So I absolutely love that, in order to give people an opportunity to speak and share with you. We all love feedback, and yes, it was great, doesn't help any of us, right? So we really want to dig and learn, how can we improve? What was exceptional and what was just okay? Because we want it all to be exceptional, right? You also want to give them opportunities on your website to create wish lists, and to share or hint, or you know, ping to someone else, share on Facebook, share on Instagram, share on Pinterest. I'm not even going to go there. I'm not underestimating of Pinterest is done. But you want to make sure that on your website, you have those opportunities, because when the birthday's coming around, and hopefully you have collected the birthdays in your CRM, because your customer service people and your forms are asking for those pieces of information, you can send out a note that says, I know someone's birthday is coming up. You have a wish list in your account. If you'd like us to send it to anyone, enter the email address here. And then you can follow that through. So again, this is creating, there are so many tools. We can't get them all into 40 minutes. I think I'm already at 44 minutes, but we can't get them all into one webinar. But we want to keep on our feet, and I'm hoping that as I go through these paid, owned, and earned buckets, online and offline, that you all have access to, that you can start thinking about which are the ones that I didn't do anything about yet. Oh yeah, I'm already doing that. That's good. I'm doing that, but maybe I'm not doing it as well as I think. Because just sending out information is not marketing your business. You have to make sure that you're monitoring digitally what's coming back to you. And you can. That's the wonderful thing about online. It's unlike a billboard. You know who's seen it. You know who looked and looked away, and you know who looked and stayed. And that's going to make you better every time, provided that you dedicate someone to following those analytics and you make sure that they're set up correctly. So wish lists need to be enabled on your website. Sharing, reviews. Would you like to post a review of this? Even if they purchase it online, let them post a review. If they purchase it offline, solicit, ask them for a review, and definitely ask for permission to share compliments that are received in store online as well. So we want to make sure that each one of these is feeding the other. And that brings us to the end of my checklist, which I go through when we're onboarding new clients: paid, owned, and earned, online and offline. Today, we really focused on tools online that can drive traffic to your brick and mortar store, especially now when people are more and more wanting to work with local businesses. It is your moment to let them know you are there. And I will conclude with a short little story. My husband told me, and I think I'll stop sharing so that you can see me. My husband told me he wanted to do yoga. He's like a football quarterback, a huge guy, not a supple thing. And he said, if there's someplace nearby, I'd love to go do yoga. And I Googled, I know my way around the search engines. I could not find yoga. I live out in the country, more than half an hour away from me. And I thought, oh man, this sucks. And so we slept there and we slept back an hour of our lives. He thought it was okay. A week later at the local village hall, my neighbor said to me, oh, Sarah does a yoga class in the village hall, 5 minutes from my front door. And I said to Sarah, I'm so excited. I drove my husband an hour and back. He really needs this for his back. And you're right here. I said, why don't you have a website? And she said, oh, well, my business is too small and it's an in-person business. I don't really need a website. And I thought, there you go. That is exactly what I'm talking about. I was right next door to her and I couldn't find her. So never underestimate, no matter the size of your business, pick just one thing that I talked about that you haven't done before, and learn about it and learn how to do it right, and learn, and you will pick up a rock and find a bunch of other rocks under that rock, and there'll be so much for you to do. Just pick one, something that resonates as maybe that could work, and give it a try tomorrow and see how it goes. And please feel free to get in touch with me. You can get in touch with me at l@hillandco.co, or you can go through our website, or I'm also on LinkedIn. And I think that concludes the webinar for today. I don't know if I just say goodbye to you guys, or if you have any questions, then I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. I think I'll give it another 2 minutes and then see if we have any questions that need to be. Okay, that's a good one. Do I need to post, get tons of pictures of jewelry to put in every post? No, you should not put jewelry in every single post. Please God, no. If we see one more picture of jewelry, yes, I know that you get more likes on an up close picture of a bridal ring than anything else, and that is true. But what allows people to know, like, and trust you is to reveal something about your store, reveal something about your the people who work there, the type of jewelry that you celebrate. So you want to do a post about your people, a post about why you got into the business. You want things that show who you are and the authenticity of the team, and then a picture of your jewelry. But if you do show up and you say, just a picture of jewelry, picture of jewelry, picture of jewelry, picture of jewelry. It's the equivalent of showing up at a cocktail party and saying, hi, I'm Elle Hill, I sell jewelry. Hi, I'm Elle Hill, I sell jewelry. Hi, I'm Elle Hill, I sell jewelry. Pretty soon, no one's going to be that interested in Elle Hill. What's interesting what's interesting is the why. What's interesting is the story. So people really want to see more of you, and more about you. Now, another question just came in. Can you give some examples of authentic photos or videos on social media? What's the sweet spot between unpolished and too rough? That's a great question. That's a great question. My answer is consistency. Okay, because people want to know, like, and trust you. I constantly go back to that. It's a basic tenet. People feel they know you when you behave the way they expect you to behave. So consistency is everything. So if you have a setup like this, I mean, this is my computer and my lamp and some flowers that my husband got for me. I mean, I do social media videos every day, and it's me walking in my garden with a selfie stick. That is enough. That is plenty, as long as it's consistent. So if you have a video that's one of your customer service representatives talking to an iPhone camera for a minute or less, depending on the platform, you might be doing something more long form for YouTube. As long as you decide, okay, we're going to do 2 of these a month, we're going to do them every other week, and we're going to shoot them the same way, with similar lighting, and so they know what to expect. It can be as simple as an iPhone, a handheld iPhone, a selfie stick with an iPhone, as long as it's consistent. What you don't want is to spend a lot of money on a fabulously produced video and then have a handheld iPhone video next to it. It's jarring. And it makes people feel like they don't know who you are. Which one is the real you? So pick something that you can do consistently, both operationally and budget wise, and then set a calendar. And I always tell people, it's very hard. Sometimes you have to drive the truck while you're building it. But I always tell people to, plan out a month's worth of those videos. So if you're doing one every other week, you're doing 2. If you're doing one a week, you've got 4. Plan them out and take them, and then watch them side by side. Does it feel consistent? Does it make sense? You can change the consistency. Maybe you keep that going for 12 weeks, and then you say, we want to do outdoors now when we pepper it in a video. So you can take that selfie stick outside, or the tripod outside. You can do, jewelry try-on sessions in the sun. People love to see people's faces. People love to see the sun. But the key here, you can tell, is consistency. You want good lighting. You want to be able to be seen. You want a pleasant and positive environment, but you want authenticity and consistency. So it's okay if you can do a pretty good level of production and you're sending it out to be edited and you have the budget to do that on a cadence, meaning consistently over time, once a month, twice a month, whatever you're doing with these videos, then do that. But if you don't, start where you are, because it is enough. What people want is you, and you are enough. So that is it. Someone's asked me, what's my IG handle? I don't post on Instagram. I consume on Instagram. I post on a daily basis videos on LinkedIn. So you can find me, Elle Hill, Fine Jewelry Launch and Growth Expert, on LinkedIn. And I'll also type in the answer with my LinkedIn address. Please follow me on LinkedIn. That would be fantastic. There's daily videos from me on LinkedIn on a selfie stick, as well as several posts a day. And if there aren't any further questions, I think excellent information. Oh, thank you so much. It's been so nice to get the positive responses from you guys. And if for any reason you haven't had a chance to type in a question that you have, would you ever just give me an email at l@hillandco.co, or you can email my team at inquiry@hillandco.co, or follow me on LinkedIn. That I live on LinkedIn, so you'll see me on there all the time. And on that happy note, I hope that there was valuable information for you. If there were any snippets that you didn't understand, please reach out to me. I'm happy to help. I'm happy to have 20-minute phone conversations to help people out. I hope you all are very well. Be safe, be careful, and take advantage of the strength that the internet has to offer you. Have a good night. Take care now.